Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of The Bolder Woman on Wisp Sports. I'm Alex Rotus, and at Wisp Sports we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage.
Last year, my best was 260, which in the European indoors was a championship record, so there weren't many under 60-year-olds that had done that. This year I've only done 2 competitions, so at the moment I'm 252, but the next height I've got the record at 260. So the next competition I want to just take it up to the next height and try and set another record.
You've put your courage to the test, laid all your doubts to rest. Your mind is clearer than before, your heart is full and wanting more, your future's at the door. Give it all you got, no hesitating, you've been waiting all your life.
Hello and welcome to The Bolder Woman. My guest today is Sue Yeomans, who at the age of 66 is a British track and field athlete with multiple World Championship titles to her name. These are primarily in the pole vault event, where she has been world champion in her age group no fewer than 9 times. She holds 13 European Championship titles and 22 national British titles. She's made 27 British records in the pole vault, 11 European records, and she's also been placed in gold medal positions and been proclaimed world champion in both the long jump and the triple jump. Sue's an extremely popular competitor at all the Masters athletics meets, rarely allowing trifles such as serious health issues to get in the way, either to stop her competing at elite level for medals for herself or to add her support to her many friends amongst her fellow Masters athletes. Last August, 2018, she won the World Championships in Malaga in her age group, which is 65 to 69 years old, and that was after a tough year of health issues. In the previous World Championships in Perth in 2016, where she was competing in the 60 to 64-year-old age group, she again took gold. This last result was even more extraordinary as it came some 10 weeks after major surgery. Sue is very down to earth about both her achievements and her health issues, and she's told me she's happy to talk about both. She's one of the warmest people you could ever hope to meet. When it comes to competition, however, this lady is not to be trifled with. Hers is quite a story. Sue, welcome to the programme and thanks for joining us.
Hello, Alex, and thank you for that lovely introduction.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't even go halfway to doing you proud. The pole vault, I mean, to me, and I've watched a lot of track and field, the pole vault looks very beautiful, but also really difficult technically and somewhat dangerous. How on earth did you get into it? Was it because you were doing it at school?
No, I didn't even know what pole vault was. I got my 2 children, my 2 boys into athletics because I loved it. And he was just running around the track one day and said, oh, what's that boy doing over there? And I said, that's pole vault. He started vaulting. And then his coach said to me, well, you're back competing now. Why don't you have a go at it? And I think I was just waiting for somebody to say that because it looks such fun. So, so that's how it all started, all through getting my son involved in it.
You'd already got involved in athletics. When did that happen? Were you doing that as a youngster?
I did as a youngster, yeah, but I've only got to county level. I didn't get taken any further than that. And then I went to work and I got into horses. And I didn't really think much more about athletics till I had my 2 boys, and they were very good at it. And I got them involved. And so the rest of it all just followed on through my boys, thankfully. That one of them saw pole vault and saw this great event, and he got hooked on it, and I then got hooked on it. So, and that's how we've carried on, and we compete together. He's still doing it, and I'm still doing it.
He's still competing too?
Yes, we compete together. We compete in our athletics league locally, and he's just waiting. He's hoping that I'm going to keep going long enough that when he's 33 now, and that when he's 35, which the start age for Masters Athletics, that he will be able to go off to a European or World Championships with me and we can compete together. So that's my goal. I've got to keep going for another couple of years yet anyway.
What age group will you be when he reaches 35?
So I'll be 66 this year. I'll still be in this age group, yes. But I'll be sort of coming up nearing my 70 70 to 75. So hopefully I should keep going to them.
How often do you train each week?
I do 2 sessions a week with my coach and the group, and then I do 2 conditioning sessions, one just all-round conditioning and then a gym session, all sort of structured by my coach. All of it's based around pole vault. So, yes, it's all based around that. So it's quite a structured, because with pole vault, you've got to have all-round condition. It's sort of all over the body. It's having strong legs, having strong abdominals, good shoulder muscles, and good mental discipline as well. You've got to be very disciplined. I think people that have tried pole vault have realised that it's quite a mental sport. Just sort of taking off the ground sometimes is quite hard. It's sort of an all-round sport. So we've got to develop and do a bit of everything in training, really, and be very disciplined.
Why is it so hard taking off the ground?
You've got to get everything right on the run-up. If nothing's right as you're running down the run-up, and your head's not right about what you've got to be doing at the end of the run-up, then you're not going to take off. Sometimes there's days when you just really don't feel quite up to the mark, and you'll sort of run down and think, just can't take off and just can't do it. And say this mental barrier steps in. You've got to overcome that. I've known people that have just stopped doing pole vault because it is so hard to sometimes get off the ground. You have a mental blip, a blockage there. You may be physically absolutely on par where you should be, but mentally you just can't get your head around actually running down and launching yourself off the ground. So it isn't easy. People say that's sort of like about 80% mental and then 20 physical, but I'm not quite sure that's quite right. But there is a lot of mental discipline involved, I'm afraid, with pole vault. So some people have given up because they found it too much of a strain. But it is a fun sport, I have to say. You know, we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't great fun.
If you don't get the height, you fall back down onto, not the mattress, you fall back down onto the run-up, which would be very dangerous.
Yes, I've done that and dislocated my jaw. I did carry on in the competition and because I was competing for county. But yes, it can happen if you don't sort of get everything right at takeoff and going forward into the planting the pole into the box and going forward, you can come back down where you've just come from, down on the run-up, I'm afraid. And I've seen some very nasty accidents where it's happened. A lot can go wrong. It's especially, you don't look at too many of these things you see on Facebook where you see all these horrendous accidents where they have break poles and as you say, they come down from quite a height. I saw a very close friend, young lad who I first started training with, come down from 5 meters 10 straight back down into the box. Luckily, he was absolutely fine, very shaken, very bruised, but he's back pole vaulting again. But then that's youth. I think probably at my age, if that happened, you know, you'd think twice, or I'd be perhaps a little bit tentative the next time I tried to take off. But yes, it can have its downside, I'm afraid, accident-wise. But it's still such a fun sport. It's challenging in all ways. So yeah, it just keeps you wanting more, I'm afraid.
What about nutrition? Do you do anything special with your diet?
I honestly have to say no, really. I do eat a healthy diet anyway, and I don't eat lots of stodgy foods and things. But other than that, no. I have the isotonic drinks I make up when I'm training, and I do recovery drinks. But apart from that, I just eat healthy, really, generally all-round healthy. Nothing in particular. Perhaps some athletes do, and I think probably you should look more at your diet as you get older, you know, eating more healthy, because everybody should be eating more healthy anyway, but probably as you get older you should just keep an eye on your diet. But say, as I've always had a healthy diet, I haven't really worried too much on that side.
I've noticed that as the age groups go up, fewer people do pole vault. In fact, there are very few women, aren't there, in their 70s. I think there's only one in her 80s.
Yes, we've got some great characters that still keep going. And then you get such great camaraderie. I think it's with the sport, you know, it's a challenge just keeping going as you get older. And, you know, with pole vault, it's even more challenging. So I think we all egg each other on to keep going. One of my closest friends stopped and she came back down on the run up and said, I think it's time to stop now. That was really sad. I want to make a decision that I want to stop when I want, and not because I have to stop and think, well, perhaps I'll now give up now, and perhaps I'll go into coaching the sport to youngsters and getting more people involved in it.
What age was she, your friend who stopped?
She was late 70s. So she was still going then. She was, in fact, well, Alex, you actually know the young lady, young lady Dorothy McLennan. She's a great loss, but she hasn't left the sport. She's kept going in masters athletics and still doing everything at 83. So, and gave up pole vault to take up multi-eventing. So, yes, onwards and upwards, as they say.
She hasn't lost the camaraderie.
No, and she's got too many friends in the sport. That's one of the things that I've loved with travelling all over the world. It's not just the British athletes, the British friends I've made here. It's all the people abroad. When I've gone to all the competitions all over the world, I've got friends everywhere that we meet up, and it's all hugs, kisses. We love to see each other, and we're glad to see they're still there and they're still doing it, and they still all have the same passions that we have and want to keep going for as long as we possibly can. So, yet it is sad if we have to lose some of our lovely pole vaulters as they get older.
I've noticed that actually because, as you know, I've photographed track and field, and I've noticed that you all support each other in pole vault, and actually you're happy when your fellow competitors are clearing the bar, and that always strikes me.
Yes, most definitely. I think you'll see everybody egging on, just sort of keeping everything crossed, everything. Yes, come on, you can do it. You know, you can see they've sort of got a down hung expression. They don't think they can do it. And everybody, the whole people in the competition will get behind them and they'll clear the bar. And everybody's happy, not just the person that's gone over it. It's, you know, everybody wants everybody to do well because it's hard as you get older. And you know, it's a hard sport, and we want everybody to keep going and enjoying it. That's the main thing. You know, we've got the camaraderie in the sport. It's just having a passion and enjoyment of the sport. I went to a competition at the weekend, and there were 85 pole vaulters at Vault London, and everybody from young. This is from, you know, we had like an 8-year-old right through to, I was the oldest at 65, and everybody was encouraging everybody, and it was lovely to see everybody getting PBs. It's just I don't know, we call it our pole vault family. Everybody loves to see everybody doing well, getting better and better, and loving the sport.
That's so nice. I've never seen one of these events that are multi-age, so somebody from 8 to 65 competing in the same event. That must be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this is one of my old friends that he's still a coach and competitor, and he puts on this event every year. And he puts on 2 events, and it allows for youngsters to come into it, and it's any age, and he grades them as to what height you're doing. So you go into pools of different age groups, like heights, not like age groups, like heights. So you could be competing like I was 65, and there were 11, 12, 13, 20-year-olds, 50-year-olds all in the pool together, and saying everybody is encouraging everybody to get over that bar and try and do the best they possibly can. And I think that environment rubs off, and you want to do well, and you do well because you're in a nice, relaxed, friendly environment. So yes, they're really good competition. Yeah, they're fabulous.
That's really heartwarming. So Sue, what sort of height are we talking about that you're competing at now, that you're clearing now?
At the moment, I think that last year my best was 260, which in the European indoors was a championship record. So there weren't many other 60-year-olds that had done that. This year I've only done 2 competitions, so at the moment I'm on 252, but the next height I've got the record at 260. So the next competition I want to just take it up to the next height and try and set another record at the next comp in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm trying hard.
Tell me a bit, if you don't mind, about what happened a couple of years ago when you were in the run-up to Perth and the World Championships, and you had a bit of a health blip.
Yes, we'd planned this wonderful trip to Australia, and then out of the blue I had a breast screening done, and it came back with abnormalities. So they followed up and they found out I had breast cancer. Nothing that I would ever have known myself. It was a particular type of cancer that you can't feel lumps. It was DCIS, and so they had to go ahead and do a mastectomy, and it was terrible at the time, but I'm not sure whether it's inbuilt in athletes that it's just another challenge. It's like putting another bar there. You just think, right, once you get over the initial shock, you think, right, it's got to be done. It's going to save your life to have the operation, and you just go ahead and do it. And I think having the pole vault, my coach and his wife were fabulous. just after the operation, I went down to see them, and they said, right, when are you going to be back? When are you going to be starting training? And it just followed on. I thought, right, yeah, I'm going to get back. I'm going to go to Australia and compete. And everybody, I'd say again, is rooting for you. And so I got to Australia 10 weeks later and set a new championship record. So, yes, I still don't know to this day how I quite did that on about 2 weeks training, but it was in there somewhere, and it just luckily came out all on the day. So, and then just getting over that, the following year I had bowel screening come through, and that had abnormalities, and then found out I had bowel cancer. So we then had to go through having most of my bowel taken away. So then I had another 5 months before I went off to the World Championships in Aarhus in Denmark, and then again set another championship record. So it seems to be just like a little carrot dangling there after all these tragedies, that there's light there and I can do it. Yes, so my pole vault has brought me through to quite down times, and and say the friends I've had from it, because everybody kept in contact with me and said, you've got to come back when you're going to be back, and say that just having that goal there just kept me going through everything, that I wanted to get back and I wanted to be as good as I was before. So, and it's happened. So I'm a good advocate for screening. If anybody has screening drop through their door, go and get screened. Whatever it is, just go and get screened, because it could save your life.
Yes. I mean, you wouldn't have known about either of those if you hadn't had the screening.
No, wouldn't have known a thing, because the bowel I didn't know about, and so the breast, it was a particular type of cancer that you wouldn't have known. There weren't any lumps, wasn't anything. So apart from our wonderful screening system in the UK, I wouldn't have known anything. So it might have been too late and I might not be here today. So I had some fabulous people looking after me, and and so the rest is history now. It's onwards and upwards.
Did you get any ageism from your surgeon, or was your surgeon sympathetic to the fact that you were an elite athlete and you'd got these goals in mind?
Oh, my breast surgeon was absolutely wonderful. She asked me, because she found out she was sort of sitting back and taking in all of what I was telling her, what I'd done, what I'd achieved. She said, well, when's your next competition? And when I told her, she said, oh my goodness, that's not long. Wow, what can we do? So she sat there and went through everything. And because doing pole vault, what they normally do is they cut through the chest muscles, but she said, we can't do that because you won't be able to do your pole vault anymore. So she had to really think outside the box of what she could do for me, and she did everything, and she got me in and she got me done, operated on, and she did some special certain new techniques that they'd brought in. She said, I think that would suit, and that's how I got back in, say, 10 weeks and back vaulting again. And then again, it sort of followed through. I think she may have had words with my bowel consultant, because he was the same. Oh, when's your next competition? When have we got to get you fit by? And they looked after me so well. So I have nothing but praise for our wonderful NHS. They've been absolutely superb with me, and I still have follow-ups. And she follows me and asks, what have I done? What have I got next? What have you achieved since I've last seen you? So she still wants to know how I'm doing. And funny enough, I have an appointment with her tomorrow, so I shall let her know how I'm going at the moment. So, so I'm very happy with my treatment. They've been wonderful. Took on board exactly, what sort of person I was and what I wanted to get back to doing, and they were brilliant.
Really sounds like you had a holistic approach, and we hear so many stories of people who just see the illness or just see the particular problem, but clearly maybe the secret is to confide in them and talk to them like you did with both of yours, and then they came on board.
Oh, most certainly they did, because they wanted to know. I think sometimes you think you go in and you're just a number and you're just right next and on to the next one, but they didn't. They sat down and spoke to me and asked me everything on what I wanted to be doing again and how quickly I wanted to be doing it, and they took all that on board, which it is a health service with millions of people they're treating, but they really, I felt like I was treated very, very well, and they had taken on board who I was and what I wanted to do. So yes, I was very, very lucky, very lucky.
Well, that's a great story. Sue, what's next? What are you training for?
We've got the World Championships in Torun in Poland in March. So hoping to go there. so I'm hoping to do well there. I can't you never know, but I've got unusual friends who I compete against from around the world have all entered, so we'll all be there together again. So so hopefully. I don't take anything for granted, so you never know what's going to happen in pole vault. I've gone to a competition and thought I was going to win, and I know heighted, so it's one of those events you just do not know. Everything's got to happen right on the day. So so I'm keeping everything crossed for.
What's a no height that you just said?
You don't actually get a height. You can sort of run down, take off, and reasons that your timing's not right, timing's out, and you don't clear a bar and keep the bar on there. And I was fit and healthy and everything seemed to be going all right, and I just had a really, really bad day. But that happens in pole vault, I'm afraid. When other people have them and they say, I've never done this before, I say, well, it happens. I've done it in a world championship. So, it happens at the worst of times, but you just have to pick yourself up and brush yourself off and go on again. So it's, it just happens, I'm afraid. It's one of those events. It's not like running from A to B. It's it's getting up and over a bar, and lots of things to stand away.
What sort of training are you going to do for Poland, which is in March, isn't it? So you haven't got long now.
No, we've been having this is slight build up. We've had a couple of competitions. We've got I think 3 more over the next 5 or 6 weeks that we've got before we go to Turin. So that's because a lot of it is getting over the nerves of competition. You can have this sort of long springy bungee bar to vault over, which seems quite friendly, but as soon as you put a hard bar there, it's a totally different thing. So so we've got to get hard bar practice. So the only way to do that really properly and get yourself mentally adjusted is to do competition. So it's fitting in enough training, but enough hard bar work in competition. So mentally focus yourself. So you went on your run up and you're ready to go, and you're not going to sort of bottle out at the end. So this isn't training, this is a competition. So so we've planned out what competitions we're going to do, and we're preparing for the next few weeks.
Do you do any cross training, or is it always specific to the pole vault?
Most of it is specific. I do other things. I go and do some swimming because I love that. Get a bit of stamina in the swimming in the pool, cycling, rowing, on machines. So I do a variety of things, but then I do a lot of specifics just for pole vault as well. So it's varied. So
rest days.
I do have rest days, yes. Normally a Friday and a Saturday are my rest days, but the rest of the week I'm normally doing most things, and I do stretch most days. I've found that to keep my body going, I have a wonderful sports masseur. So I have an hour's massage every fortnight to make sure my body is in as good a shape. And I swear by that he's kept my muscles and that toned. If you found a little lump somewhere, he'll work on those. So he's just checked on everything once a fortnight to make sure my body's okay. So I think that has helped me keep going as well. So I'd be lost without him.
Sue, I'm assuming that pole vaulting and training and swimming and having massages, that's not all you do. Have you got a day job?
I do. I have a lovely job. I work for the health service. I'm a school nurse assistant. I go in to see reception children, so that's 4 and 5 year olds. So I do their height, weight, and I test their vision and hearing just to make sure that they're growing well, they're eating healthy, and that their vision and hearing's okay, because some children do compensate. They could be sort of blind in one eye, but the other eye is compensating, and you don't always pick up on it. Even parents will say, well, I never knew, they were nearly blind in that eye, because youngsters do compensate very, very easily. And sometimes you just think there might be a boy, they're not listening, but their hearing is quite poor. So we pick up on that. And I just love working with little 4 and 5 year olds. So I'm well past my retirement by about 3 years, and I'm still going, and I don't really want to give up yet, really. I just love my job. I love the people I work with, and I love working with the little ones. So I shall keep going with that as well, as long as I can.
Pole vaulting, is it expensive? I mean, I'm thinking about when you travel, you've got to take your own pole. And what about club expenses? Is this very expensive?
It is expensive. And our problem is with pole vault, there aren't many airlines that want to fly poles now. and we're stuck with really 2, 3 possibly airlines that will fly poles at a price. And then it's getting poles from the airport to your stadium. So what we've had to find normally is you have to hire a car and take a roof rack with us to get the poles to the stadium. So a lot of us all sort of try and get as many poles as we can in our bags, and then we all sort of try and chip in a little bit together to try and keep down the costs. But that's the only way we can do it. And poles are expensive to start off with. They're just under £600 a pole. And I only use 2 poles at the moment. But if you go to like my coach, he has probably about 5 he's going to be taking to Poland with him. But so it isn't a cheap sport.
Why?
It's because he's a larger man, and you can warm up on one pole, and as the adrenaline goes, you need a stiffer and stiffer pole. So you find you're having to move up poles. So they're weighted according to your body weight, and they're different lengths. So you could move up a length and up a weighted pole just to give you more ping off the top of the pole, because more so you get the adrenaline going and the power going into the pole, you're bending the pole more, so they get softer. So you then have to move up and use a stiffer pole.
You can't all just share poles?
No, we don't. No, and we don't like to, because it like happened at the competition on Saturday, and one of our lads was using somebody else's pole and it snapped in warm-up, which is then never very good for the person who owns that pole, because they then haven't got it for competition. So it's never a good idea, especially if you're in a big competition, to lend your poles, especially if it's before your competition, because you could end up somebody breaking it and you haven't got a pole to compete on yourself, and you've just paid out all that money and done everything to get your poles there, and somebody else has broken it. So as much as I love sharing everything and helping other people out, my poles I don't normally allow, although I did once, and my American rival beat me on my pole. So that's another very good reason not to probably share your poles. But no. She's still a great friend, and she was just the better lady on the day, and she beat me on my pole.
Oh, that must have been annoying. What did you do in Australia? Because you couldn't drive down there. How did you cope with the poles there?
I have a good friend who's English. He lives in Melbourne now, and he has a rather large pole vault group that he coaches. And I contacted him, and he said, "Don't worry, I've got quite a few athletes going," because he's got some masters athletes within his group. He said, "I'll take what poles you need, and I'll take some with me." And I think I use about 3 or 4 of his poles. Again, some of them I started off okay, and then as I got better, I needed a stiffer and stiffer pole. So I was very, very lucky. So it's a good friend, pole vault fraternity again, all are sharing poles. That was very good. But that were his club poles. They weren't personal poles. They were club poles that they had, and he took them and I used them. So, because I'm not sure otherwise what I would have done there.
Okay, basic question: How long is a pole?
They're all different. I use 12-foot poles, 3.70 meters. I have got 2 big poles that are. Just trying to think now what length they are. They're another 6 inches longer, but they go up. They go up from 13 foot 7, 14 foot, 14 and a half, 15 foot, 15 foot 6. And then if you get the top bolters, probably on 16-foot poles. So they when you pick them up, they're quite scary. They feel like holding a scaffold pole. How they run, that when you see somebody of Lavillani's stance, he came to watch us in the competition. And he's so quite tiny, because I had a picture taken with him with my coach, and when you look at the size pole he's on, I just don't know how a little person like that, it's the speed, turn over his legs and the speed, and to launch himself off this huge pole, it is really quite scary. But he's just an extraordinary athlete, so like a lot of all the top pole vaulting athletes are.
Well, that includes you, Sue, if you don't mind my saying.
I just wish I'd have started. I knew about pole vault when I was a youngster, and I'd learnt it as a youngster and grown up with it, and perhaps done something when I was a youngster, because it seems that sort of starting at the age of 47 was just all a little bit missing the boat. But anyway, it's given me a love and a passion at that age, so I can't grumble. But I just wish I'd been younger when I'd found out about the event.
Gosh, you were 47 when, because you went with your son, and I hadn't quite clocked that you were 47 at that stage when you started.
yes, I used his pole and went off training one day with his coach, and yes, and that's what set me off at 47. So, and I haven't looked back since. I've loved every moment of it.
That's fantastic. So that's 20 years. So one final question. How much longer do you think?
Oh, I don't like to think about it, Alex. I really don't. Well, Dorothy, great friend Dorothy, was going in her 70s. So if I can keep going as long as Dorothy, although she's a very, very fit lady, I should be very happy. But I'd like to keep going, say, for another couple of years at least, so I can actually compete with my son. And so when he's a masters athlete, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I'm now coaching my little 7-year-old grandson. So if I can ever do a competition when he's old enough and the three of us can compete, that would be even better still.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I think the oldest woman pole vaulter in the world at the moment is Flo Myler, isn't she? American. And she's 81 or 82. So it's not impossible to keep going.
Keep myself healthy and just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll all be rooting for you, Sue. Thank you so much for talking to us. Absolutely fascinating. Really grateful that you gave us the time. And thanks for sharing all your story.
Thanks, Alex.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
What a great guest Sue was. Heartfelt thanks to her. So that's our show for this week. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another inspiring guest. In the meanwhile, be sure to subscribe to Wisp Sports on your podcast player. The show notes for this episode can be found on the Bolder Woman show page at wispsports.com. And while you're on the website, you'll find a lot more coverage of women's sports, from podcasts to videos, interviews and blogs covering all sports around the world. Do follow us and share your comments on social media at Wisp Sports and at Alex Rotas. We'd really love to hear from you. If you've any suggestion for guests, that would be awesome. Or if you'd like to tell us what you think of the show, just drop us a line to info@wispsports.com. So until next time, thanks very much for listening. We know there are some great podcasts out there, so thanks for listening to us. And thank you for supporting women in sport of all ages and everywhere.
This is your moment.